Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that's crucial for any business looking to save money and optimize its digital infrastructure. If you're running a business or working in IT, you know how quickly costs can add up, especially with cloud services. But by using the right strategies with Amazon Web Services, or AWS, you can cut down on costs significantly without compromising on quality or performance. Let's break it down step by step. To start, let's cover a quick overview of AWS and why it's so popular. AWS offers a suite of cloud services, from storage to computing power, that lets companies replace on-premises infrastructure with scalable pay-as-you-go solutions. This means you only pay for what you use. But with so many services and options, it's easy to overspend without even realizing it. So let's jump into some practical ways to trim down those costs. The first step is to understand exactly where your money is going. AWS has built-in tools like AWS Cost Explorer and budgets to help. Cost Explorer provides detailed visuals on your spending habits over time, while budgets allow you to set custom alerts for when you're approaching your spending limit. Here's how they work. AWS Cost Explorer provides data on your usage patterns, so you can identify spikes in costs, track spending on specific services, and understand trends over time. With AWS budgets, you set financial thresholds. For example, if you've allocated $500 a month for storage and your costs start approaching that number, AWS sends an alert. These tools help keep spending visible and manageable. Remember, the first rule of saving is knowing what you're spending. Right sizing is another way to cut costs. In AWS, it means adjusting the size of the resources you're using so that you aren't paying for more than you need. This is particularly useful when it comes to EC2 instances, which are virtual servers that run applications. Imagine you're renting a large, spacious office when only a small one would do. By choosing a smaller EC2 instance or opting for an auto-scaling setup that adjusts based on demand, Now, let's talk about reserved instances and savings plans. These are two of the best ways to save if you're planning on using certain AWS services over the long term. Reserved instances. With RIs, you commit to using a specific instance type for 1 or 3 years. In exchange, you get a significant discount, up to 75% off on-demand pricing. For example, if you know your application will need a consistent level of compute power, RIs are a no-brainer. Savings plans. These are similar but more flexible. Instead of committing to a specific instance type, you commit to a set amount of compute usage, like $10 per hour. The benefit here is that you can switch between different instance types and still get a discount. This can save you thousands over time, especially if you're running services consistently and don't expect much fluctuation. Storage can be a big expense in AWS, but there are ways to optimize here as well. AWS offers multiple storage classes, each designed for different use cases. S3 standard is great for frequently accessed data, but if you have data that you rarely use, consider S3 infrequent access or S3 glacier for long-term storage. These options can cut costs by up to 80% for data that's not frequently accessed. Data lifecycle policies allow you to automatically move data to cheaper storage classes as it ages. For example, files that haven't been accessed in 30 days could be moved from S3 standard to S3 glacier, keeping your storage costs as low as possible. One of the lesser-known options for cost savings in AWS is using spot instances. These instances let you use spare EC2 capacity at up to 90% off the regular price. They're perfect for non-critical tasks like data analysis or batch processing, where it's okay if the instance stops unexpectedly. Here's how it works. You bid on unused EC2 instances, and AWS charges you a fraction of the usual rate. If AWS needs the capacity back, the instance shuts down, but you only pay for the time used. If you set your workloads to restart automatically, it's a smart way to get a lot of power without the high price tag. Another exciting way to cut costs is by adopting serverless architectures with services like AWS Lambda. With serverless computing, you don't pay for idle time, only the milliseconds that your code is actually running. This can be a game changer for cost efficiency, especially for workloads with unpredictable or sporadic traffic. AWS Lambda lets you upload your code and it handles the rest, automatically scaling to match demand. This way, you save on infrastructure costs, maintenance, and only pay when there's actual work being done. To wrap up, here's a quick summary of the strategies we covered for cutting costs with AWS. Use cost management tools to keep track of your expenses. Right-size your resources to avoid paying for excess capacity. Commit to reserved instances or savings plans if you have predictable needs. Optimize storage costs by choosing the right storage class. Use spot instances for tasks that can handle interruptions. Leverage serverless architectures to only pay for what you use. By implementing these strategies, you can reduce costs and make the most of AWS without sacrificing performance. Remember, the goal is to make the cloud work for you in the most efficient way possible. Thanks for watching. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more content on optimizing your digital toolkit. Let us know in the comments if you have any other AWS cost-saving tips or questions. Happy saving!